With us now, former mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. You're chuckling. Why?
Oh, Leland, that is just such a distortion. Come on. First of all,
What's a distortion?
pretty much everything there, my friend. Let's go through the pieces. We have rent-regulated housing in New York. We've had it for generations. So that's not something new. The reason he's talking about the grocery stores is because it's all over this country. You have huge swaths of cities that are called food deserts that don't have fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. And he's saying we have to create some way to get people better food. He's not saying he's going to give away all the food. He's saying we have to create some way. Government should step in if supermarkets are closing all over our city and people can't get these.
Because the government's going to do it better than private industry can?
No, listen to what I'm saying. That seriously, you're a very intelligent guy.
My wife doesn't necessarily think that, but I'll play her the tape and convince her tonight.
Okay, that'll do it. See, you got one validator. So here's the thing. Go through, this has been the problem.
Okay, tell you what, rather than us arguing over what he says, why don't we just play you the clip of what he says about the grocery stores?
Sure.
I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging.
So that's his ad. I didn't hear anything about food deserts.
Well, I'll tell you about food deserts then, because this is a reality in cities all over the country. And in fact, you talk to people in the supermarket industry. I know people who run major supermarket chains. They haven't been able to make a profit, so they've reduced the number of stores. If you're in a city with almost 9 million people, you need supermarkets. So it's actually a perfectly...
So people in New York can't get food?
No, the point is, if supermarkets are closing, you have to go farther and farther to get available food, affordable food, quality food, fresh vegetables.
I get that you like Mamdani. I feel like, is Mamdani going to do all the things that you wanted to but sort of couldn't or ran out of time? Is that sort of what I'm hearing?
No, I think he has a different set of priorities, but where it's resonant is if you got millions of people who are struggling to afford this city. This is why he won the election, Leland.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, if the Democrats in November last year had talked about affordability all the time the way Zohran Mamdani does, they might have won too. He talked about kitchen table issues. He talked about rent. He talked about how much money it took to get around. He talked about food. He was not a culture warrior. He was actually focused overwhelmingly on affordability.
Okay, I agree with you in one sense, because the affordability issue is what he talked about in his ads. He used to be a culture warrior. We're going to get to that in the next segment. But I want to get you in terms of what you're talking about in terms of his issues. Our advice to voters in a vexing race for New York mayor. This is from the New York Times. I'm sure you saw it. We'll leave you up as we read this. Most worrisome. He shows a little concern, talking about Mamdani, about the disorder of the past decade, even though its costs have fallen hardest on the city's working class and poor residents. Mr. Mamdani, who is called Mr. Bill de Blasio, the best New York mayor of his lifetime, offers an agenda that remains alluring among elite progressives, but has proved damaging to city life, meaning the working class and poor residents. If it didn't work when you tried it, why is it going to work when he does? Okay,
so what did work? I don't agree with your thesis. We did pre-K for all, for example, in New York City. It is popular and effective with middle-class people, working-class people, people of all backgrounds, okay? We drove down crime for 6 years in a row before the pandemic. Bill Bratton was my police commissioner. That was my choice. So the New York Times actually doesn't know what the hell it's talking about, and they're so out of touch with the people of the city, they didn't understand that such a clear, massive number of people wanted something different, and they voted for Zohran because they wanted a change. The idea is to address affordability, to address the fact that people are struggling in their own city. Of course they need to be kept safe. But in a funny way, Leland, like facts would be nice here. If I'm a progressive and I drove down crime for 6 years in a row and I had police commissioners who were lifelong NYPD veterans, and why is that not exactly what we would want to see from any kind of mayor?
Right, but hasn't he said he wants to defund the police?
Look, I think he and many other people after the murder of George Floyd were dealing with the fact that we thought there was something that had to be addressed in policing in this country. We also were running out of money. I want to remind you, we defunded a lot of things because we were running out of money because of the pandemic and there was no stimulus. Today, bluntly, people are not talking about defunding the police. It's not part of his agenda.
He won't repudiate that, as far as I can tell. You think he should?
He's not talking about it, and it's not going to happen. And the city council doesn't want it to happen. So I assure you, His focus is going to be on affordability, and that's where most New Yorkers' focus is.
Okay, so I hate to tie you and him together. This is from June 18th. Your approval rating, poor 32%, only fair 39.6%. Again, I think you say the New York Times doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Maybe so. I think you and a lot of Republicans would agree on that.
You got that right.
But I think the question remains that working class folks in New York got hurt under a lot of your policies, as well-intentioned as they were. Secondly, hold on. Secondly, you ran out of money because so many people left the city. Mamdani seems to want to just tax the rich even more.
Leland, when did we run out of money?
How are you going to get money to do all this?
When did we run out of money? We balanced our budgets every year. Again, I respect people who have an ideology, as you
just said you cut it. You just said you cut everything because of the pandemic.
There was a very brief period when we were the national center of the pandemic. We were the epicenter in the United States, and we did not yet have the stimulus, and many cities were dealing with the fact that we didn't have money, and we cut across many agencies. That's not what I'm talking about. If you're talking about the overall picture of my 8 years, I can tell you we balanced our budgets. We brought more jobs to the city. We drove down crime. That's not convenient to the analysis that a lot of people on the right want to talk about. I think what we have to be honest about
I just want to stop you because you said, I think you were saying that I had an agenda. I don't, and you can tell that because I probably questioned Byron Donalds, Republican congressman, with a little more fury than I did you. But I want to let you
tip my cap to you. Then that, okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you. But go ahead and make your last point. I appreciate it.
My last point is, look, I think it's fair. Anyone could ask the question, when someone has an ideology, right or left, are they going to be pragmatic? Are they going to get the garbage picked up? Are they going to make sure the streets are safe? Are they going to make sure that they're dealing with the fact that people are struggling to make ends meet? The Democratic Party failed to connect with American voters in 2024 on that kind of issue. I think the irony here is Mamdani, coming from the left, he's
on to something. Here, tell you what. Mayor, do this. Stick around. Yeah. I want you to listen to what I'm about to say, okay? And then very briefly respond to it, all right? So we just stick around for a second. Here we go.
All right.
Because this morning, my phone blew up with Republican friends celebrating how crazy Democrats have become. And then there was Fox Business this morning.
If I'm the Republican Party and I see this result, I'm licking my chops because this could be a harbinger of great things to come when the Republicans end up having to face the Democrat that's elected in so many districts come 2026.
Let me be the first to tell Republicans they only have to look back to see what is coming. My buddy Chris Cuomo put this up on the screen last night. 33% of Americans think that foreign students who support terrorist groups like Hamas should be able to stay in the U.S. Only 16% think deportation should stop. Only 18% think that biological men should be able to play in women's sports. But Mamdani won with these unpopular policies. He's certainly supported them, and worse. These are statements that we couldn't get into with the mayor, because obviously it was a great interview, but they would make Fidel Castro proud. Together we can tax the rich, heal the sick, house the poor, defund the police, and build a socialist New York. And queer liberation means defund the police. Again, these are quotes, his words, not ours. And oppose supporting policies like ending cash bail, decriminalizing sex work, and drug possession. That's nuts. Full stop. Tax the rich, heal the sick, house the poor, defund the police, and build a socialist New York. That isn't nuts, it's un-American. It doesn't work. Just ask the people of Caracas, Venezuela, or Havana. But Mamdani is appealing to people who feel worked over by the establishment, exactly what Bill de Blasio was saying. All those crazy left ideas are about similar to the crazy right ideas of the Tea Party in 2009 and 10. I remember reporting on the rise of the Tea Party. Democrats laughed at it, as did establishment Republicans. It came after John McCain lost to Barack Obama. Remember, McCain kept talking about Joe the plumber during the election? Couldn't connect with voters. Kamala Harris is the Democratic version of McCain. Everything the party would want on paper, and a terrible candidate. They both lost. Then the activists revolted against the donor class and party establishment. It took a few years, but out came Trump in 2016, Democrats' worst nightmare. Democrats loved when Trump said, build a wall or Mexicans are rapists in 2016. Democrats thought they couldn't lose. They were wrong. Trump won. Now Republicans think Democrats can't win with Fidel Castro's policies. They would be wise to remember history. Very quickly, back with Bill de Blasio. Am I onto something?
You're onto something. I disagree with the way you're characterizing Zohran, and don't say Fidel Castro. There's no parallel. But here's what we can say. Populist, focused on the cost of living, focused on kitchen table issues. You're exactly right.
All right.
And I guarantee you, when he governs, you can talk about those unpopular positions, which he's had over time. That's fine. When he governs, he's going to be laser focused on the things that actually move people.
When he governs, we're going to have you back to talk about it. It's good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good to see you, brother.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.